Okay, guys and girls, I tell you what, we're getting ready to hay here at the Eagle. We're getting ready to hay. My buddy Bud moving his tractors and stuff over here today. I hope he didn't get anything done today, because he did. He probably hayed some fields. It's 100 degrees, perfect hay weather. It got up to 104 here at the Eagle today, by the way. But he's getting ready to hay, and I wanted to show you a few of our food plots, because those things are so gigantic and so huge that we're going to hay them. That's right, we're going to hay those food plots. And so I want to visit with you that and take you and show you that. So we're going to jump in a mule out here and run up there and look at some of those plots. I had all those plots planted with Ocmulgee River Buckmaker food plot, spring blend. I mixed that in the spring. We'll be doing the same thing in the fall. And then I went over them with Nutriplot. Nutriplot, which is a fertilizer that you put on. It's made to be used in the fall a lot also. In fact, mostly for the fall, because in the fall, what you can do in the fall is you take and once you start getting a little green, then you put Nutriplot on. And what happens in that situation is it causes it to grow better, but it attracts the deer. It attracts bucks, not just the food, but the Nutriplot itself attracts them. But these fields grew bigger than we have ever had them happen. Ocmulgee River Buckmaker and then Nutriplot on top of it once the green come out. And we're going to get more hay than we've ever got out of them. More hay than we've ever got. We're going to trim them down, might even get a second cut, and I don't really know. But let's jump in the mule, run up there, and see what happens. I want you to look at these. I want you to look at these before Bud cuts them and turns them into hay. All right, guys and girls. Let's head up there and take a look at some food plots. It's down to about 95 degrees right now. I wanted to wait until late in the evening. I probably should have waited a little bit later, but I didn't wait nearly as long as I probably should have. But we're going to go up here and see what we can find. Take a look at some of these food plots, and I want to show you just how big they've really got, because I'm telling you what, some of these guys are giants. The combination of an Ocmulgee River food plot. Now these down around the house are not all that big. There's some of them right there behind me, beside me. I'm going by there on the left. You can kind of see that. And one of the reasons they're not is we have so many deer. There's another one over there on the other side. You see we're driving by that one right there. Now those look pretty good. Those are nice looking food plots. Nothing wrong with them, but you got to realize how many deer I have down here at the house. I've got so many deer down here at the house that, I mean, you know, they're just, you see the way they eat around the feeder and stuff. They're just, they need a lot to eat. They have to have an awful lot to eat. Driving by the deer pens now. Most all the deer down in the bottom or around the shade, getting out of this sun. I don't blame them for doing that. I don't see hardly anything. There's some babies up there under the awnings. Here's a doe or two down here, but most everything's back there under those trees. Oh, I see Bubba running back there. Look at Bubba out there with that big giant horn. Y'all have been kind of worried about how big those horns are and talking about maybe cutting that drop off. And can I tell you, we're not going to do that. Those of you that really realize how important a drop is know that, as a matter of fact, that drop is a big deal. It's a big deal. It's a huge drop tine. And yeah, it's heavy, but those antlers are full of blood. And they've got all that velvet on them, and that's where a lot of the weight comes from. The horns are actually soft, and the antlers themselves inside the velvet are full of blood, and the antlers themselves are not all that heavy. And when that recedes down, when that blood recedes down, it scrapes all that velvet off, and you have hard horns. You'll have hard horns. Right now they're really heavy, and once that he gets his hard horns, his head will straighten back up, and he's leaning over a little bit right now, and he's leaning over because of the weight. That's all there is to it. It's like if you were carrying 2 buckets of water and one bucket was half full and the other bucket was completely full, you'd be kind of leaning toward the full sides. And that's just what he's doing right now. But you can clamp them, kind of like they do with bulls, castrating bulls. But in order to clamp him, you got to sedate him. And sedating a 300-pound buck, very, very dangerous. Can be done, but you really got to know what you're doing. Have the right amount of sedation in there. You got to have enough to put him down, yet not enough to kill him. And in this heat, it's particularly dangerous. It's kind of dangerous to do it any time of the year, but it's particularly dangerous in this heat to try to sedate that deer. So we're not going to do that, because he's in no danger now whatsoever. He's just carrying some pretty heavy rack up on his head right now, but we're loving that rack. We're loving that rack. Okay, guys and girls, we're going to start with this field here on the right. This is a small field. I want to show you it. And when you look how tall that is right there. When you look at tall, now that's an oak field. We had that planted in sunflowers one time, and the sunflowers were beautiful and big. Planted the whole field in sunflowers, and they were just absolutely gorgeous, and we're so proud of them. And I come up here one morning, and wild hogs had got in there and completely destroyed every sunflower was in there. It was just like they leveled them all. They trampled them down and ate them, and it was horrible. Now, we had sunflowers in these also. They're all gone now. They've been eaten by the deer, and I'm sure some by the pigs. But I want you to take a look and see how tall that food plot really is. It's got a lot of stuff mixed in it, and it's got some weeds in it. Now, we poisoned the ground there. But you look at how high this is. Look at this right here. Look how high that is. I mean, it is huge, huge, huge. Now, here's another little field off beside it. I'll take a look at it, and then I'm going to turn around because I want to go back and look. There's a bull. There's a bull elk. There's a bull elk right there, a baby bull. He's out here on this food plot. Out here on this food plot. Try to zoom in on him. Yeah, you see him out there. That's as far as I can zoom. 6 power is all I got. But yep, baby elk. Yeah, he's gone now. But you can kind of take a look and see how big that is. I'm going to go ahead and turn my mule around inside of that so you can really just get an idea of how bad it is. I'll put this right down on the front of the mule. This is in the front of the mule right here. This is looking right through. I got my windshield off, but what would be a windshield. There's a lot of good stuff growing down there close to the ground. We can find any open areas. But this is Ocmulgee River Buckmaker food plot. And it's got a lot of stuff down growing close to the ground, but all the sunflowers are gone. They've been eaten up by the animals, and a lot of the stuff has been eaten up by the animals, and we've got all of this left out here. And I know I was shooting the sky there for a little bit, probably wasn't I? But you can just see how huge, how big it's got, how tall it's got. A big part of that is that NutriPlot that we put on there after it turned green. And once we did that, it just exploded on us. And we really haven't had all that much rain down here this year. I think we're at 24 inches. Last year we were about 10 inches higher than this time of the year. But look at that. Look how tall that is. I mean, you see where my mule is down here. Look how tall it is. I mean, it's up, you know, you drive out through it, it would be coming, it's as tall as me where I'm sitting in the mule in places. Now we're going to drive across and take a look at a couple more real quick. But you can see that this just absolutely, it's going to make a lot of hay. It's going to make a lot of hay. I was going to leave it and not hay these food plots, but we have so many acres in food plots, probably 100 acres of food plots. And I want to give you a little bit of an idea because this field right across, now there is a big field. There's a big field that we call Ivy League field because there's a stand over there and all of those pecan trees that got poison ivy growing on it because we call it Ivy League. I want you to look and see how tall that is. Now I'm just going to pan over real slowly and kind of look on the other side, and you can see this field on the other side does not have Ocmulgee River food plot, and it does not have NutriPlot on it. Now we will get a lot of hay out of that field too. It's pretty good, but you can see it's anywhere near as tall. You can look down the road right there, and you can see on one side of the road and the other side of the road, and you can see how high the one field is on the left, which is our food plot, and the one on the right, which is just all natural growth. You look at that. I attribute a lot of that to the NutriPlot. I attribute a lot of it to great seed in the Ocmulgee River Buckmaker food plots. But absolutely incredible. Now, I'm zoomed way out there. I probably ought to zoom back in here and make you a little bit better look at what's going on. But that's what we're looking at there. Sorry about that. I zoomed in on that buck and then zoomed back out. I'm not a camera person. I'm a redneck fisherman. And proud of it, because fishing is good for you. Right, Richard Gene? Fishing is good for you. But now that's a big food plot right there. So I want to drive down and look at one more, and then we'll go look at a couple others real quick and just give you an idea. And then we're going to be haying these things. We might shoot a little video of the haying. That's kind of fun too. As we're driving along here, I just want to give you an idea I'll put on the road right there is about as easy. Give you an idea of just how tall this really is. Look at that. There's the road down there. Now look how tall this is. Is that amazing? Look at this. This, if I was drive out there, you couldn't see the mule. It's almost up to the roof of the mule. That's how tall that is. That's the tallest and the biggest I've ever seen that food plot. Absolutely. Now it had a lot of sunflowers in it out there, and they were really, really pretty, but they've been eaten up. And it's got a lot of stuff in there. There may be pigs in there right now. I see in the ground. Look where there's pigs have been going through that, and you couldn't even see a pig out there. You couldn't even see them. They could be 50 of them out there right now, and you couldn't even see them. But once we get through with this in about another week, probably start tomorrow. Once we get through haying this, by golly, you'll be able to see those critters out there. But that is amazing. And again, you know, to give you an idea, kind of look at what we got right there. Look right down the road. Now right across the road is another big hayfield, and that's a really pretty hayfield right there. And it's good. It's good. You know, look how tall it is. But it is nothing like what we planted with our spring planting and fertilized with NutriPlot. Nothing. Not even close. Look how tall that is. I mean, it is just, it's huge. It's bigger than we've ever seen it. We'll go look at two more right quick. Okay, we're coming up on another big food plot right here. I guess, you know, you've seen one food plot, you've seen it all. But again, you can look down the road and see the difference between the field over on the right, which is really a good field. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that field. That field is going to make a lot of really, really good hay. But then you can come around and look at the field on the left and see the difference and how much taller and higher that is. And that thing had a bunch of pretty sunflowers in it last week. I meant to shoot a video last week before I went over to Jack and Sherry's to spend the weekend with Chris, and I just didn't get it done. I ran out of time, didn't get it done. And so since my sunflowers were beautiful, my sunflowers are all gone. They've been eaten, probably a lot of them by those stinking wild pigs. And the sad part about the food plots growing so tall is you can't even see the pigs out there. The pigs get out there in it, and it's all way taller than the biggest boar. You can't see it. All right, we're coming up on another food plot right here. This will be the last one we take a look at right here. And I'm going to end this thing. I'll take a little quick drive by. But look how tall that is. Look at that. Look at that out there. That's just amazingly big. Amazingly big. And there's that food plot there. Goes all the way down to that green island back here in the back. This is over by the lake. But that is another huge food plot. Now you can kind of take a look there. You see where the food plot in, and it turns into up here where we don't have anything planted on this. You can see on this little draw here, the food plot, you can see the edges of it as you go around. That's where we planted the Okmulgee River buckmaker, and that's where we put NutriPlot. So, Jimmy, you ought to have your fanny out on that lake. So, anyway, that's, I'm going to look at one more deal and kind of show you what our baby trees look like. Show you what our baby pecan trees look like, because they're pretty right now too. And we'll show you them, and we'll get out of this mess. All right, guys and girls, we're getting ready to pull up on, that's a big food plot out there. That's a nice one too, just like the others. It's a giant. Getting ready to pull up on the baby trees, and there they are out there. Aren't they pretty? Aren't they pretty? I just dig coming up here and getting out in my baby trees. Those are all baby pecan trees. Those are all improved trees, and they're just absolutely gorgeous. You can see we've got some blank spots. There's a couple spots right here in front of me. 3 actually before you get to that big tree back there, and there's another one right there. Those trees are not going to make. They're not doing any good. I meant to plant in all those empty places in February this year, but February came and left, and I didn't get any of those planted. But that is a beautiful sight right there to look at those baby pecan trees, because they're just absolutely gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. Okay, guys and girls, that's about it right there. I just thought I'd show you what those food plots look like before we hay them, because that's what we're getting ready to do right now. Bud moved some of his equipment over here today. He might have moved all of it. I don't know. I'm going to go take a look. But as we drive through these baby pecan trees, these trees have got pecans on them, but they don't have a lot. The freeze really hurt the improved pecans this year. So the prices are probably going to be pretty high because of that. Our native pecans did not get hurt nearly as bad as the improved pecans did. So we're going to have a lot of native pecans. We'll have plenty of improved pecans too, but they got hammered pretty bad by that freeze because they were a little bit ahead of the natives, and so they got hurt a little bit by it. But anyway, that's looking at the food plots after they got up to their maximum amount of height, because we're getting ready to cut them back down a little bit, and it's just a great thing. I just wanted to go out and let you take a look at them. We'll be planting the exact same seed. I wanted to check out that Ocmulgee River Buckmaker because those are great guys down there. It's a great little company down there in Georgia, and they ship all over the nation, so you can get your seed from Ocmulgee River and ship them anywhere. NutriPlot is out of Missouri. Ken Trentham out of Missouri over there, great guy, great friend. And I wanted to try those two products this year on a spring plant. My fall plant, I think, is probably my most important plant, and I'll be doing that. I want to check out and see if I would use the same product, and by golly, I guarantee I'm going to put the same stuff in. Looking forward to getting that fall blend in, and looking forward to seeing how much hay we get out of all that, because, hey, that's going to make a lot of hay. Guys and girls, have a great one out there. Let's plant. Hey, I love you.